Good morning, everyone. Guess you're hearing me. Welcome here. Thank you for being here. Thank you to come to this session where we're going to discuss clean energy solutions, and in particular for resilient communities all across the world, especially in distributed systems. So, as you know, access to reliable clean energy is a challenge for vulnerable and underserved communities that lack the necessary infrastructure. But it's also an enormous opportunity to transform livelihoods, to provide economic and social opportunities, to improve health, and build sustainable development pathways. So clean energy offer numerous co-benefits, and that's what we're going to talk about it today, that empower communities to build their own resilient future. And so we're very lucky to have today 4 great panelists that will present the innovations that they've worked on and that have the potential to bring fast and durable change at scale. So we're going to discuss a number of issues, starting with what constitute barriers to scale up and how to lift those barriers, how to advance deployment of these solutions that they've built, but also how energy solution can tackle multiple dimensions of social development and economic development as well. What forms of finance are most necessary to get from pilots to scale, how to ensure that projects are durable, how that they're self-sustaining, and most important, how to make sure community needs and community ownership come first and foremost. I'm very happy to have this chance. I'm not working in the field of microenergy anymore, but I did that 10 years ago. So I'm very curious to know if those challenges remain the same, if some of the barriers are lifted, and we're going to hear from our panelists right now. So let me start on the other end with you, Mario. Mario Aguilera is the CEO and founder of Tespack, which provides mobile microenergy systems, in particular for educational projects, and you're going to tell us about it. You're, I think, deployed across 23 countries already. So you've reached thousands of pupils around the world. I'd love for you to tell us how your solution functions and what differentiates you. But most important, I'd like to know what you see as the biggest lever to quickly reach scale and what remains the biggest hurdle. And is it mostly tied with the development of the technology, of the business model, or is it tied also to external factors that maybe some of the people in this room, some of the people in the Paris Peace Forum can actually tackle to help you deploy faster and bigger?
Sure, thank you very much, David. So we are a Finnish company that creates smart mobile microgrid systems to provide energy and internet in remote areas. So we have been collaborating with more than 15 organizations, amongst them UNICEF, UNDP, UNHCR, Plan International, the Red Cross, and some organizations also in Ukraine. And something that we have realized across all of the different projects that we have been implementing and working with the partners is that everybody knows that everyone needs energy, and that's a given. But the key part of the implementation, it's very dependent on many factors that are multi-layered, from socially, culturally, and also from the point of perspective of the usage of technology. Also a little bit of hypocrisy if you think about it. If you talk with anybody that talks about solar energy, solar is the best. If you talk with people that make wind turbines are the best. If you talk with people that does thermal is the best. But I think the combination of all the different type of technologies is something that we really need these days. And at the same time, take the whole perspective of the implementation of a project. Because the people that are making the decisions on allocating the budgets, they are not the people who implement the projects in the different countries, right? And there is a big gap in that that I have seen. For us, we have been working in Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and something that we have seen is that the people that make the decisions on allocating the budgets sometimes do not understand in detail what are the issues that are happening on the ground. And the people who are on the ground, who need the technology from different companies like ours, are not able to buy it because the people at the top do not understand the needs. That's one of the first issues that we have seen. And in terms of technology, there are a lot of technologies that need to be combined in order to be able to, I think, be successful. From solar to wind to tidal, there are different places and geolocations should be able to, let's say, should be able to use this technology in the most efficient ways, because sometimes you have solar energy systems that are extremely easy to use, but they are not easy to maintain, and they end up in the landfills. So it's multi-layered things that we have seen in our projects and with the different organizations, and sometimes the time that it takes in order to make decisions for the purchase of our products.
Can I ask you just to follow up? So how would you think is the best way to address that disconnect between the understanding of the needs on the ground and the decision-making of projects that are made in maybe other places in the world? Is it through some form of donor education? Is it through what type of partnerships or support do you need to address that?
I would say technology transfer is key right now. I'm originally from Bolivia, but I live in Finland. When my country buys technology from another country, sometimes it comes with a dependency. And what I would like to see is that whenever we're selling technology or we're receiving technology from other countries, we not only receive the technology, but also the knowledge in order to maintain it, and why not to manufacture or improve it. So we have two projects and two MOUs with two ministries of education, one with Gambia and the other one with Zambia, where what we want to do is to manufacture our technology locally with local people, while at the same time we collaborate with universities in order to be able to transfer the knowledge that we have in terms of manufacturing and of technology. And then, with their own needs, they would be able to develop this technology further in order to have their own solutions that are, let's say, Zambian or Gambian, and then they don't have to depend on, let's say, our technology in Finland. I think that's one of the ways to go around it, because it's a win-win. Me, as a European company, I can provide my technology to the customers that I have in Africa. At the same time, I can maintain the technologies that I already have in different places. And at the same time, I'm able, let's say, to cut costs. Because right now, artificial intelligence and a lot of things are making things much cheaper and also a little bit more expensive in other areas.
Thank you very much. We'll get back to the business model then and the challenges it poses. But I'd like to turn to you, Martha, and ask you about a bit of a broader question. So you're Martha Mukai. You're the founder of Darubini Ya Afya and CEO. It's a youth-led clean energy innovation transforming agriculture and plastic waste into fuel for schools and biochar for farmers. So with one social enterprise, you aim to tackle together a multiplicity of different issues, from access to energy and cost of energy to health, but also nutrition. And so I'm very curious to hear how you can achieve multiple social goals that tackle human health and sustainability together. But I'd like to understand, is there one that comes first? How do you promote this kind of holistic perspective? And how do you connect an agenda that is multidimensional with the agendas of funders, for example, that are sometimes siloed towards climate or towards health or towards nutrition or children development? How do you place a value on all of these elements together to be supported?
Hi. All the problems you have stated are existing. Access to energy exists hardly because we use firewood, and deforestation leads to a lot of climate unsustainability. So for the funders to come and choose one, it's kind of hard because you can't choose to fund energy alone, because at the end of the day, the person needs to go to the farm and harvest. So if a funder comes in, he needs to fund both soil, the biochar, and the gas, because the user or the African person needs the energy and the soil fertility for their crops. Yeah.
But does that mean that when you conceive project, you focus on one dimension more and then look at the co-benefits, or everything is already built into the different dimensions you're trying to tackle? Can you tell us a little bit more of how the project was originated and how you achieve those dimensions together?
Yeah, the project EcoCharkill, it's like a small device like this table, in which all the waste, the plastic waste and the organic waste, are burnt inside in a way that the emissions are scrubbed off. No emissions is out in the environment. So you can even see it while all the process is burning here, because it doesn't go out to the environment. And the gas, it's like beside here. So we can't like fund the energy because at the end of the day, the ashes are the fertilizer. Yeah, so it's more of connected, interconnected. When the gas is being produced, the fertilizer being produced. That's why they're all connected, the nutrition, the soil fertility, and the energy access. Hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Let me turn to you, maybe Omikashi now. If you don't mind, you're the Chief Executive Officer of Catex Power, which is a renewable energy company providing clean and sustainable power solutions to off-grid and underserved communities in Nigeria. You have an initiative, Solar Energy for Resilient Communities, that enhances energy access while promoting climate resilience and sustainable livelihoods. So I'd like to ask you a question that's similar to what I was asking Mario. Is what is the best lever to deploy, to reach scale, and what remains the biggest hurdle? But how, knowing that, you ensure durability of project? How do you ensure that, as Mario was telling us before, when there is a new technology, a new system that is put in place that is owned by the community, and it doesn't become a liability in the future of more dependency, as you were saying, but it actually becomes an empowerment for the community?
All right, thank you so much, David. So at Catex Power, we try to bridge the energy deficit gap in Nigeria, especially those that are living in the off-grid, marginalized, and underserved communities. We have so many communities that the national grid are not even connected, and they don't have access to electricity at all. So using solar power solutions of different capacity, we try to bridge the energy deficit gap to those communities so they can have access to clean energy. And one of the ways we do our own thing, since we know that there is a very huge market, as for Africa, as for sub-Saharan Africa, as far as Nigeria is concerned, there is a huge market, because based on statistics, we still have about 88 million people that does not have access to electricity. And beyond them, we also have the underserved communities that are served probably few hours per day from the national grid. So these people need access to electricity 24/7. And what we do is that we use solar home system to make energy affordable to them so that they can have access to electricity. So how do we go into those communities? Because that is very important, so that they can be able to have access to it, also have ownership of it. So we don't just bring technology to them. We don't just bring the product to them. One key thing we do is that we engage the communities. We try to understand their basic energy needs, and then we'll have to work with, just like we work with technology providers, we work with manufacturers, so they can bring this product to them that will serve their needs. And then one of the key things that we do is community engagement, which makes sort of understand their needs. And the second one is beyond engagement. There is something we call empowering them. We try to train them so that they can have understanding of the product, so that beyond using them, they can be able to maintain it themselves. They can even be able to distribute it to other communities. So we do this engagement program, like empowerment program, where we train the youth of those communities, especially the women of those communities, so they can know how to even do the installation, know how to distribute it, know how to do the connection, so that beyond providing light for them, they themselves also have livelihood with the use of it, because they know how to install it themselves, they know how to distribute it themselves.
But how do they get access to your technology? When you say you bring it to them, are they funding it themselves? Is there a special financing model that comes with the product, or is it funded by external partners, international development organization?
All right. Okay. So looking at those communities as well, we understand that most of them are living in rural areas, in remote areas, and most of them cannot even afford most of these products. So we try to use a financing model that will make it affordable to them, which is a kind of pay-as-you-go service where they can pay over a period of time, or we'll provide a flexible payment plan for them so that they can be able to pay it over a given period of time, making it affordable to them. If we consider those that are using fossil fuel generators, for instance, they buy fuel on daily basis just to top up their generator and have electricity. And if they use that money, that's the money that they are using to top their fuel, maybe on monthly basis to pay for it, they will be able to afford the payment and even have ownership of it at the end of it. And you also asked, I just remember, you also asked the question about the hurdle we face, and that is where financing comes in, access to financing, because if they cannot afford it, it makes it difficult for them to access it. It makes it difficult for them to have it. And one way we try to do to make it accessible to them is through that flexible payment plan and pay-as-you-go service to them so that they can be able to have access to it. And beyond that, there is also a hurdle that we face, which is the regulation from the government. And if the government keep putting tax, if they keep increasing custom duties, it makes it difficult for us to even import those technologies and bring it to those communities. However, in Nigeria, the government is trying to promote local manufacturing. But if they really want it to be established, we have to also work with other people so that the infrastructure has to be put in place. Because we are not just trying to do we have to do something that is durable to them. We have to do something that is very sustainable to them. So the infrastructure has to put in place. Even as much that we are trying to promote local manufacturing, we still have to make sure that the infrastructure is readily available so that we can be able to bring a product that is very reliable and durable for those communities we serve. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd love to go back to the financing structure and the financing hurdles that you're all facing, but I'd like to turn to you, Majun. Before that, you're the founding director of the Institute of Public and Environmental Affairs, which is a non-profit environmental research organization committed to promoting transparency around pollution issues in China. You've been a journalist, a researcher, an entrepreneur. You've received prize. So we're looking really forward to your kind of holistic vision on this issue and the multiple perspective. But I'd like to turn to the researcher first and see what you see as the most effective and rapid way to translate data collection points about clean energy deployment, about those pilot initiatives trying to scale up all around the world, analyzing that, what is the technical responses that the public and private sector, that you learn about what the public and private sector should do in terms of bringing them to the next level.
Thank you, David. It's so good to be here to talk about power change through clean energy solutions. I think clean energy renewable energy is really a blessing to the world, of course, to China as well. And through the past 10 years of efforts, particularly, after China made commitment of carbon peak neutrality, we have seen a vast expansion of renewable energy. China set target of 1,200 giga of wind and solar by 2030, and that target has been met last year, so 6 years earlier. And this year we add another incredible amount of, particularly on the solar side. And so today, the solar panel capacity, the solar PV capacity have already topped 1,100 giga in our country, and in China, of course. Among them, there are very, very large projects. We're talking about super large projects in the western part of China, but we also have numerous rooftop and distributed solar projects, solar PV projects. We're talking about 100,000 of them. And how to track this so data can play its role. And so based on our environment and biodiversity map, we rolled out a solar map, and which we document all this tens of thousands of solar PV farms and on the map, so that and then use satellite imaging, drones, and also on-site investigation, along with all this data gathering to showcase, all this distribution of all these projects in the western part, central part, and eastern part. What is going on with this? And among them, of course, all this solar and wind renewable development have vastly helped China to not just decarbonize. Since last March, we started seeing a declining of China's carbon emission, which is about 1/3 of the global total. So it's very important for us to pick and try to pick earlier. And with the power electricity in demand, it's still going up like this. If it is not for renewable energy, particularly if it is not for solar power, then our picking will come much later, and our picking volume will be much larger. And so this is somewhat very, very helpful in that, and because China electrifying its economy 9 times faster than the global average. The EV penetration is getting close to 50%. So if without a transformation of our energy supply system through the renewable energy installation, then it could be much dirtier, in this process. And so we're happy to see the last 10 years the solar power generation increase by 100 times. So it's like that. And through the process, of course, coal power used to be the primary source, and coal power generation account for directly for 40% of our local emission as well, causing a lot of air pollution problem, making Beijing the capital of smog. But through all these years of efforts, that emission is going down as well, and the local emissions going down. So all this, of course, how to integrate such a high penetration of renewable, how to integrate those into the power grid. That's also poses a new challenge in China. So China is like a big experiment lab. It's a big lab with all kind of solar projects and wind projects going on. You name it. And among all this 1,100 solar giga solar power projects, 44% are actually distributed solar projects.
But they're distributed, but they're still feeding into the grid, or they're distributed in an isolated off-grid?
Both. Yeah, we have both. At the beginning, there are rooms for them to be integrated. So there are some infrastructure and rooms for them to be integrated. But now with such a high penetration, it's getting increasingly more difficult to try to absorb them. The reason for China to authorize some extra new coal power plant, part of that is to try to, use that as a sort of a backup to try to integrate such a high, but volatile solar power.
So as you explained that we're building in China this kind of renewable energy infrastructure, and it's being built around the world. As an analyst, as a researcher, do you see? I mean, how do you see these micro energy solutions that we're discussing today? These distributed projects. How do you see them as an impetus or are able to transform the overall energy systems? How can they be an inspiration for systematic evolutions of the energy system, maybe in creating more, in creating less grid and more distributed system? Do they have an ability to profoundly structure how China, for example, will develop its clean energy systems?
Absolutely. now China set target for carbon peak and neutrality, particularly if we want to neutralize, more than 10 billion tons of carbon dioxide, then we have to, the path is about, first transform the energy supply and then electrification, try to electrify our economic, all kind of social economic activities. And with that, the transformation of our energy supply, solar is the number one, option. Is the number one. I mean, some say that solar is the best. I think solar, at least on the distributed system, solar is still better than wind. Although there are some efforts, some efforts.
I would say it depends on the geography. If you talk about that with Iceland, they would say thermal is better.
I know. Each country have different, local conditions, and but I would say, solar, wind, geothermal, and tidal, and all these renewables. If try to, we all have our national context and national conditions, and in China, some regions have very rich, much richer solar resources, and some have better wind resources. So you, of course, you try to tap into that. But I would say, solar have a very big potential, and so far, that potential is still, we still see the last 10 years through the innovation globally, particularly in China, the cost of solar panels dropped by some 80%. And today, we through our research visit and to those very, very entrepreneurs, and through all these discussions, they are in the process to vastly enhance the efficiency through new technologies, like something called the perovskite solar panels, which is amazing technology that you can paint it on walls, you can paint it on cars, even on your clothes, and the cost is going to further drop.
But I think, Mario, you wanted to make a point on this.
Yes, I think that most big nations are trying to go into centralized energy. But after what has happened between, let's say, Germany and what happened in Russia, I think most of Europe, or most sensible nations, are trying to go to decentralized energy. And if you want to go into that direction, I think using microgrid systems or the technology into that actually is much safe, because it provides you a little bit more security. And at the same time, also, you can use machine learning and artificial intelligence in order to not overload certain areas. So I think the technology and solar has validated itself, in generally speaking, for the implementation, because it's a mature technology for the production and manufacturing. And we know, of course, that monocrystalline perovskite prices have dropped quite a lot because of China, thanks to China, actually, because the biggest manufacturer of solar cells and wafers in the world. And I think that we should start moving towards decentralized energy, which every building is able to be self-sustainable, because I think that's where the safety is going to be at in the future for no dependency.
But I think, and I'd love to, we have 15 minutes left, so I'd love to take some time for the public to ask questions, because I'm sure they have lots of specific questions for you. But what all of you have said today is that there are different solutions for different communities and different people, and that there's not one size fits all. I think that's the critical part. But how do you reconcile coming with a technology, having a solutions that you have developed or that you're promoting, with the actual needs and capacities and desires of the different communities you intervene in? How do you build ownership? How do you make sure, you talk about dependencies before, you talk about the lack of finance, you talk about appropriation. How do you make sure communities then really fulfill their needs, are in control of delivering the energy systems that they need?
Okay, so if I'm to answer the question, I think that is where community ownership comes in. every community that is empowered needs to be enlightened, need to be properly trained on how to use and also how to maintain those products or the technology that is being installed to them. For instance, when you have every household installed a rooftop solar, they should also have an idea how to maintain it, because beyond providing power, beyond providing the product and the technology to them, if they don't have any knowledge on how this product works, it makes it unsustainable. So true sustainability and resilience comes with when every community, every household that is electrified or probably, that is electrified is being enlightened on how to make use of those products and how to maintain those products. Then technology should also be emphasized more, especially the aspect of AI and machine learning, because even in Cates Power, we are also trying to adopt AI and machine learning that helps us to even monitor most of this product in those remote areas, and this helps us to even troubleshoot it remotely. So the use of technology is also very paramount to maintain the sustainability of those products.
Thank you. And I see you shaking your head, Martha. Do you have the same challenge of having to make sure everybody understands how the system works, how to train them for that? But if that's a constraint, how do you make sure more and more people can adopt it? Is the level of training, of building capacity, the main hurdle to kind of scale up more massively?
Yeah. Especially on the first adoption pilot case study, when we did it, we realized a lot of people have the problem, but they don't know how to connect the problem to the solutions available. We can even tell them, you can take your waste to the pit, but be like, why should I take them there? So when you create awareness about the problems they have around, they are really ready to adapt to the new solutions. But to scale up, it's a bit challenging because there are lack of funds. To scale up to big areas, because we have adapted our project to 2 counties, which are like the capital city, Nairobi, and the neighbor. But we want to scale it to the central part where there's coffee, to the eastern part where there's maize, but we really can't. But they are really ready. When we were doing our pilot case study, the problems are there, but scaling up the funds is the issue. Same as what Nyomfo said.
So if there's funders in the room, I think you heard the call. Funding is the issue to scale up. I think it's often the case. Thank you. Is there a mic if we want to have questions from the public? I see one here. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for being here. I'm Nathan from EDF, and maybe I have a question for you, Mr. Jun. You talked very briefly about electrification of use, and we know that it's a matter, it's a really important lever if you want to reach carbon neutrality and if you want to reduce emission, especially in industry, but also in transport and buildings. So I would like just to know your view on the path China is taking to implement electrification of the use. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the question. Electrification is now considered in China. It's considered to be the vital path. And as I said, we try to electrifying not just the e-vehicles transportation system, but also industries and, of course, the residential use as well. And some real progress have been made on that. And of course, the other side of the coin is about transformation of the energy supply. If we continue to power that with fossil fuel, with coal, then that electrification is not the real one, the good low carbon one. So these two have to be connected. And in the meantime, as our distinguished panelist mentioned, a lot of new technologies being applied into that. The smart grid and microgrid and AI and now the energy in the energy storage capacity is extremely important. Short term, it's about all these batteries and storage capacity. Mid to long term, it's about hydrogen. It's about other green hydrogen and how to use that as an energy storage. And so all these are being tested. And last point I want to make is about this the new technology, the new experiment about the V2G, because we have very high penetration of e-vehicles, and how to turn them into part of the storage capacity, energy storage capacity, so that they can be have this smart interaction with the power grid. Of course, all this makes very, very high demand for the power grid system to be upgraded, and in the process, a lot of AI need to be applied to be able to make much more precise weather forecast, for example, on the wind side and also partially on the solar side, and then the long distance power transmission. The super efficient transmission system is being built as well. So all these are part of that, and now on the finance side, we also have seen the very new experiment is about something called real world assets, and meaning that to bundle hundreds, thousands of distributed solar, rooftop solar projects into one big project based on Internet of Things and AI, and then a blockchain technology to make it bankable, so that they can raise hundreds of millions of yuan in finance. So this is the new efforts. I think it has huge potential as well.
Thank you. Do we have another question?
Hi, Hugo Warner, Bioma. Thank you, everyone. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to listen to your work. It's great to see both China and Africa represented here today. Also, my question is on, I guess, solar. And of course, we know that we have to move towards a circular economy. That's our destiny. Solar is going to be part of that. It can't be powered by fossil fuels. But at the same time, what we're doing effectively is creating latent problems with our current system. What we're doing, we manufacture stuff. It has a life expectancy. It's very difficult to recover the value that's trapped in that. I'm curious to see, to understand to what extent, from a design and manufacture perspective, that figures as a priority, i.e. the idea of building circularity into solar. And also when you're trying to, I know you've got many priorities, and your focus is on building a business and expanding it and installing and making sure that things are maintained. To what extent you think of recovery of end-of-life assets. So thinking of, for example, the fact that in Africa, it's an estimated 200 million solar assets which are out of order but repairable right now. So I'm very curious to hear both of your thoughts on that point. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that question. And this is also very important because we have to put a measure in place to ensure that after the end of the lifespan of these panels, they are not constituting to environmental pollution. So one of the things we do is that we try to repurpose them for second life. Sometimes when some panels last for 15 years, 20 years, the efficiency can reduce probably for 80%. So those efficiency can also be repurposed for a secondary life and be integrated probably in a place where it can be effective. If it is being used probably as a microgrid, it can be integrated maybe in a community that uses less, that needs the efficiency to work very well. So in Nigeria, we have also organizations that are very good at it. So we work with all those circular economy, circular organizations. So when the lifespan diminishes, we bring it back to them so they can refurbish it, and then we integrate it back again, because the efficiency is not that it has completely deteriorated, but it has reduced to probably 80% or 70%. So we repurpose them to a secondary market where they can be of use. And the same thing goes with battery. Battery can also be repurposed back to a secondary life.
For us in in our technology, we have already implemented tracking the IDs into the battery cells. So we are also implemented machine learning, artificial intelligence to create better algorithms of charge and discharge, because batteries perform differently according to altitude, temperature, and let's say humidity. So all of our systems that we deploy in Africa or anywhere in Asia, we can provide a second life because the PCB and the casing can be reused, but after, let's say, 1,200 cycles, so if you're using lithium-ion cobalt, you need to, let's say, replace it. It reduces only 20%, but you still can reuse it. But we have the advantage that we can track who manufactured the cell, how many cycles you have done on the battery, and also who has been using it. So we can collect all of this data as well, also in order to create better models of charge and discharge in different geolocations around the world. And we have a bigger model of LLM that we're using in order to track and recycle and provide better prices for the customer.
Yeah, we need to recognize the downside of it. It's not just only the upside, and with the vast deployment of renewable energy, there are many problems as well. Along with that, the change of land use change and biodiversity impact, and sometimes on the people's neighborhood, on the livelihood, and there are all this as well. How to and then you mentioned about the disposal problem. The challenge. That whole huge wave of decommissioning hasn't really happened yet, but it's coming, and so we have to handle that. As you mentioned, better handle that from the very designing process and to the end. So far, efforts have been made, but not good enough. We assess the performance of more than 30 listed companies on the solar side, and some of them have made some progress, but most of them still haven't been. They are not really green. They still. Only the manufacturing process generate more than 100 million tons of carbon dioxide through the manufacturing. We're talking about scope 1 and 2, alone. So that's a big problem, and the decommissioning and all this waste, not just in China, but when we export so much outside of China, Now they help to reduce carbon emission by some 220 million tons a year. But the decommissioning, the disposal part, how could we reach beyond our border, to handle that? So I'm glad to see efforts are being made.
Martha, you want to add something on life cycles?
Yeah, on solar, in the eastern part of Africa, it's so hard to adapt to solar because of the installation. It's so expensive. So for the Africans, for the eastern part, they rather continue using firewood. They tried to install solar, but it failed because the battery is used also in the motorcycle. So they rather steal the batteries for motorcycle than for the house use. So people didn't adapt to it, and it stopped. So they continue using electricity from power and firewood. Yeah.
I think we're almost out of time. So there's one question I really wanted to ask you and have some discussion about it. I don't think we'll have time, but maybe with a couple words each, as we turn to, we talk about life cycle, we talk about the risk in the future, we talk about how we build scale over time. What do you see as of the major things you need to see happening in the next decade or the next 5 years so that the project you're working on gets really the ownership of communities, builds transformative capacity for the population that you're working with?
As for me, I don't want to be more of the kilowatts per hour which are saved, but more the impactful of the community, because communities are suffering from both soil retention, climate resiliency, purchasing power. So if one project could all do that, or a cooperation of different projects, China and Africa, it will just push the impact to the communities further. Yeah.
Thank you.
I want to see more global collaboration. I think it's so important. Of course, Global South can be very helpful, have huge resource and capacity, innovative capacity. But it's even more important, global South, and South to South collaboration. And also, we should try to work together to overcome this, so far the geopolitical divide, because, our planet home is on fire. So we need to work together and to try to put it off. And in the meantime, we still have so many people, the SDG targets still lagging so far behind in many parts of the world. But solar and wind and renewable energy have provided such a kind of unprecedented opportunity, and I hope we catch that.
Well, for me, capacity training is very key to foster community ownership. So we want to see that we are not just providing power to those communities, but they want to ensure that they also earn livelihood with the power that we provide for them. Thank you.
For me, it's all of those together, but at the same time that it needs to end up with a price point. The kilowatt hour needs to be cheaper, and at the same time, I want to bring this to the attention of everyone, that the correlation between price in energy, it goes with the development of a country. Whether it's for food, whether it's for education, whatever it is, the cheaper the energy is, the more opportunities a country has for development. And I think that the key part of the development of technologies and of working together is not that we just do nice things for the green energy, but also for the developing and the well-being of people. Because there are countries that are already well developed in terms of energy, but there are some other countries like mine, for example, that we're still developing our own technologies and we're learning about this. But we sometimes cannot be 100% renewable all the time. So we have to be realistic also from that perspective and be understandable. And I think everything is going to go very well for everyone.
I want to thank you all. Thank you for this fascinating conversation, for finishing on a relatively hopeful note as well, that through cooperation, even if it's not governmental cooperation that we're struggling with today, at least stakeholder cooperation around the world to try to tackle multiple issues at the same time and not have them siloed, because this is the answer. So thank you for sharing some time with us, and thank you for the public for being here today.